What's going on, guys? Quick video on the Black Queen's statement versus the Sports Ministry statement, and what have you. Don't mind my empty bookshelf. Um, Moving to a new place, I'm trying to fill it up, so I'm still on it. A reminder for you guys to subscribe. I promise I will get a bit more consistent with the videos. After the World Cup, there's been a lot of traveling involved. Also trying to spend as much time with the family as possible. It had been a very busy last few weeks or even months, to be honest. But I'm glad that I finally have some time to provide you guys a bit of update. So you know that the Black Queens on Wednesday, on the eve of their very crucial, critical game against Cote d'Ivoire, they released a statement to say a number of things. Number one, they said they are owed per diems and bonuses. They're also owed qualification bonuses for the WAFCON. They're owed qualification bonuses from the group stages of this WAFCON. They're owed per diems for this very AFCON as well. And then they also speak about lacking some sort of professional support. They say their well-being, mental health support isn't really there. They want the same dedication, the same fairness, the same respect that we treat various national teams. They want to be accorded the same kind of respect. Basically, that's the crux of their statement. And we'll talk about what my personal view of the statement really is. Obviously, the sports ministry also responded where they detailed um, a lot of things. First, they say that they don't really owe the players per DMs. We'll get to that because it's partly true, it's partly false. They also say they don't owe bonuses. That is also partly true, partly false. I will get to that. Um, and then they also talk about all of the professional help that the team has. They say the management committee members there, they have nutritionists, doctors, whatever. But maybe that's not what the Queens are talking about. I'll tell you what I know about what they're going through and what that kind of help, what the kind of help they're talking about really is. Um, and then we'll talk about the way forward. I promise to keep this video under maybe 7 minutes. So um, the Black Queens after the game against Malawi, they oh, by the way, what the other things that they talk about before I forget is the fact that the GFA president and the sports minister only visited them once throughout this whole WAFCON process, and they think that is not a show of commitment to them. I don't. Um, so anyway, so I can tell you guys that they had intended to release this statement before the game against Malawi, but they were talked down, talked out of it because obviously once they qualified after the group stages, they were expecting to be paid bonuses. They were not paid the money. Um, and so they contemplated actually releasing the statement before the game, but they were talked out of it. So they played the match. The hope was that once they won the game and qualified for the World Cup, and they were confident they were going to win the game and qualify for the World Cup, a statement of this nature would have received, universal public backing because the message would have been, well, you know, the guys didn't have motivation and they still managed to qualify for this competition, so give them their money. That's what the Queens hoped would have happened um, as well. But obviously that didn't happen. So once they lost the game, they realized that this was their last chance and that they needed to tell Ghanaians what was happening. And they still had one more game to play, which is the Intercontinental Playoff match against Cote d'Ivoire. And they were running out of time to try and agitate for these bonuses. If they didn't do it now, there would be no window to do it. Because once this game is played, if they lose this match, the next time they will try to play for any qualifying competition will be the Olympic qualifiers. And knowing the sports ministry that we have, they might never get this money until then. Because the Olympic qualifiers don't mean as much to them as maybe World Cup qualifiers. So not qualifying for the World Cup in itself is such a big deal. So right after the Malawi game, they had a meeting um, at the hotel. They were in there for several minutes, after which they released a statement. Now, they didn't really publish the statement through the Ghana Women's National Team handle. They created a new WhatsApp, Instagram, sorry, not WhatsApp. They created a new Instagram account just so they could post this video. And that in itself, for me personally, I didn't think that it was perhaps the best thing to do, because the first post on that Instagram account was this statement, and then several of the players started to share it on their story. If we didn't, um, if anybody at first glance showed me that Instagram account with that statement, I would say it's fake, because the Instagram account is new, and the first post on that account was that particular statement. So that in itself didn't really necessarily impress me. I think there could have been better ways of distributing this um, than means that would create some kind of doubt. So you realize that there were certain aspects of people that were doubting the authenticity of the statement after it came out. But that's what happened. So they put it out there. So let's get into the details, the truth behind their concerns. And then we just oppose that with the ministry statement. So number one, they say they are owed bonuses for the Egypt 2025 game, which was one match that they played home away to qualify them, home and away to qualify them for this AFCON that they're playing. Now, the sports ministry has long held that they will not be paying winning bonuses for individual games for any qualifying series. But I promise I said the video will be under 7 minutes, but it's clear that it wouldn't be. I'm sorry, guys, but the issues are plenty. So the ministry had said, and that had been the practice, that they will not be paying winning bonuses for individual matches, but they would pay bonuses. They'll put all the bonuses together and pay the money once you've qualified for the tournament. They did the same thing with the Black Stars team. They were, in fact, for the Black Stars, they were paying them half the winning bonuses, and once they qualified, they paid the other half as qualification bonus for them. The Queens played 2 matches, both against Egypt, to qualify for the tournament. They say they're owed bonuses for that. The sports ministry statement said they are not owed bonuses for that, and that they had agreed they would not be paying bonuses for that particular game. What I can independently tell you is this: this is the first time the players are hearing that bonuses will not be paid for that particular game that qualified them for the tournament. So there's an issue with communication. If it was clear to the players right from the beginning that there would be no winning bonuses paid for, or no qualification bonuses paid for qualifying for the WAFCON, I don't think they probably would have included that in the statement. So there is a bit of disagreement there. When were they told that they will not be paying them qualification bonuses? At which meeting? Where was it agreed? Because even for the Black Princesses, for the under 17, all of them have the same practice. They pay them per round. They don't pay them for individual games. So if you qualify to each round, they pay them, I think, for the princesses like 1,500 or so. So if you play 3 rounds of qualifiers, that is 1,500 times 3. The Black Queens is very similar. So for the very least, for this one game that they played, this one team that they played, Egypt, which was over 2 legs, they should have been paid at least 1,500 US dollars for that particular one round that got them to the tournament. So there is that, a bit of disparity. Who's telling the truth? I'm not too sure. But the players have a point to say that they should be paid. If the ministry says they were never told, or that they were never supposed to pay them for that particular game, then the ministry needs to let us know when they made that decision, at which meeting, or what statement, so that there is absolute clarity. Because as we speak, they're still paying other national teams for rounds of qualifiers to competitions. Then they accuse the sports ministry of also not paying them per diems. I think for the sport, this is the truth. I say that's partly true, it's partly false. Now, the sports ministry have paid per diems for the players for the entire duration of the tournament up until the 14th. They paid it in two batches. The sports minister met them at the tournament during training, where he paid them 1,300 US dollars. And then when he came back after they qualified out of the group stages, the purse holder, his name is Isa, also went and paid the players $700. That money was paid after the Malawi game, not before. And that took care of the period from after the group stages up until um, they up until I believe Friday, which is tomorrow, which is when they will leave the tournament. So the sports minister has indeed paid up all the per diems for the tournament period. I think the money that the Black Queens are referring to are per diems for their pre-camping period. Now, the pre-camping period lasted about 2 weeks, so about, and Black Queens players are paid $100 per day, by the way. The Black Stars are 150. Um, so for those 14 or 15 days, they're owed around 1,400, 1,500. That is pre-camp. Now, the sports ministry has told the players that the GFA are supposed to be the ones to pay for that period, not the sports ministry. The players' statement did not make that distinction, and that's why I believe the sports ministry was forced to include it in the statement that they don't owe them. But the Queens are actually owed per diems. But the party that owes them the per diems is the GFA, not the sports ministry. So on that front, the sports ministry has fully paid up, but the Queens are still owed per diems. But that is a liability of the GFA. And that's what I mean by partly true, partly false. Now, they also say that the GFA president and the sports minister visited them once. I don't really know what the presence, how many times they need to be in camp. We've been, we've gone through situations where we've said that the Black Stars or even national team Keto Kriku or the GFA president and the sports minister, they're too frequent in in national team camps. They need to leave the team alone and only be there when absolutely necessary. So I don't necessarily think that is such a big deal, or that simply means that they don't care about the team. They don't need to be physically present every single day to show that they are backing the team and what have you. But maybe that's what the Black Queens want. Maybe they want to see the GFA president, the sports minister there every single day to encourage them. Um, I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, that's also true. They only were there on one training session, and that's been it. But there've been other members of senior members of staff at the GFA that have been with the Black Queens all throughout. Alexa Santi is there. He's head of the national teams, always the man that organizes everything, even with the Black Stars. I know the chief of staff of the GFA president, Michael Osekre, was also there or has also been there all throughout the entire competition. There have been three management committee members also with the team and in Morocco. So I'm not exactly sure that in that aspect there've been any lack of professional support. They have a kit manager, the jersey, everything, all of those other things have been well taken care of. Nutritionist, doctor, nurses, what have you. But these are women. They have very unique needs, and the team has no psychologist. So when they talk about welfare and mental health, these are some of the things you might be, they might be referring to, because I know about some players who have reacted in certain ways because of the way a certain game went, because they got substituted in a match that they didn't want to be substituted. It has to be someone to manage all these emotions. The players don't feel like there is any professional of the sort to be able to manage these emotions around the camp. And that's why they say that they don't have any sort of mental health and well-being support in camp. So perhaps we need to consider adding a psychologist to the Black Queens camp. The Black Stars for the longest time had not had a psychologist. Even at this World Cup, they didn't have one. Um, it's clear that the Black Queens players feel like they need one, and they need that sort of emotional support and mental health support around the team. So in that respect, they're absolutely 100% right in demanding for those. Um, my view on this is that I think that the Black Queens players have every right to demand for what is due them, and they 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 need to get what is due them. Um, because we've seen all the resources thrown at the Black Stars players. Um, and they absolutely need to get paid what is due them. If you look at the sports minister's statement about qualification bonus from the group stages at the WAFCON, they made sure to point out that they only won one game in the group stages and that they only owed bonuses for that one game. I don't believe that is the case. I don't think that is the entire truth, because what the practice has been at tournament is that for group stages, they don't pay for individual winning bonuses. They wait, and when you make it out of the group stages, they calculate a winning bonus per game, and it doesn't matter whether you won all your matches or you drew some of them. So long as you make it out of the group stages, you're paid all of that together for 3 games. So I'll give you an example. For the Black Stars at the World Cup, they only won 1 match, but their qualification bonus for making it out of the group stages in that tournament was 30,000. That is 10,000 per game, and they lump it together and pay. I know they also owe that money, but that is money due them, and that has been the practice. So it's not true that the Black Queens are only owed bonuses for 1 game at that tournament. So long as they made it out of the group stages, they're owed bonuses for the 3 matches. It's called qualification bonus. Now, they say that they were not told how much that qualification bonus was before the tournament. But we know from practice from the last WAFCON that they pay them $1,500 per game. And so for those 3 matches, that means that the Black Queens players are due $4,500 for making it out of the group stages at this WAFCON. That part is true. And I don't think the sports ministry is entirely right in pointing out that they only have to pay them winning bonuses for the 1 game that they won at the group stages, because that has never been the practice. Now, I don't blame them for saying that the money is now being processed, because that has always been the case. Processes take time. In fact, the Black Stars, as we speak, their $30,000 qualification bonus on the group stages at the World Cup hasn't also been paid. So that part takes time. The part that I don't agree with, that doesn't make sense for me, would be to claim that you only owe them winning bonus for 1 game. I don't think that is entirely accurate and reflects what the best practices have been. Now, my personal view on the statement is that, as I said, I think they have every right to demand and get what is due them. I just feel like the timing isn't great. And I believe if they probably had released this statement before the Malawi match, they would have been accused of distraction whatsoever, but it would have had 2 effects. If they had released it before and gone on to win, then people would have said, pay them the money because look at all these problems they have and they still won anyway. So there would have been universal backing for their cause. If they lost the game, yeah, there'll be a few people that would have said, the distraction bonuses issue, sort of focusing on the task ahead, you were doing bonus. But there would have been so many more people that would have been sympathetic to their situation and say, they didn't have motivation. You say you pay them bonuses. Okay, so then how do you expect them to perform? So, but now people are very split, and I've seen a lot of people saying, Monfan Soho and that sort of thing. So maybe the timing is a little bit off. But apart from that, I believe that this tournament overall has been a complete letdown from the players' point of view. This squad is badly in need of a rebuild. Not qualifying for the World Cup is such a big, big blow. And, early 2028 is the next big thing. They start that qualifying campaign soon. I can also tell you that Keto Krukwi is very upset that he was singled out as well for criticism by the Queens, because he's seen as a champion of women's football and that he's dedicated everything to women's football, and he didn't like that he was hanged out to dry like that. But yeah, anyway, so that's everything you need to know about the Queens. Do remember to subscribe if you made it to the end, and do leave us a comment as well. Cheers, guys.